Hi, this is Edward Troxel, and in today's tutorial we're going to learn how to place effects in various places in Vegas. Previously we placed an effect on an event on the timeline. Now we're going to look at all the various places that effects can be placed, and to do that, first of all, let's go through and review in Vegas exactly where these places are, and then we'll look at the code necessary to put this effect on all these various places. First, let's look at the places that effects can be placed and exactly what it will affect when we place them there. So the first place an effect can be placed is the event itself on the timeline. You would just click this FX button, and for this test I'm going to stick a vignette on this effect. So we come over here and we choose vignette, and it has now been added on there, and you can see the edges have been darkened a little bit. What will this affect? This will affect only this one event. So if we come over here to this other event, we notice that there is nothing there on that one. So this one will affect only the one event. The next place you can add an effect is on the track itself. So let's add an effect to this track. For the track, let's add the pinch punch. Now you can see that the middle of the screen is pulled in like it has been pinched. If we go to the other event on the track, you'll notice that it has also been pinched. So when you add an effect to a track, it's going to affect everything on that track. The next place we can add an effect is in the media itself. You can get there a couple of different ways. We could come in here to the project media and come to this clip, right click it, and choose media FX. Or we can actually do this direct from the timeline. We can right click the event on the timeline and go to media FX. So when we add a media FX there, let's add the Gaussian blur. You will notice that this clip is now blurred. What did it affect? Well, it did not affect this clip, but it will affect everywhere this image is added to the timeline. Will now have a Gaussian blur. So if we added it down here and look at it, it has a Gaussian blur, but it does not have the vignette, and it does not have the pinch punch. So everywhere that media will be placed on the timeline will now have the Gaussian blur. The next place you can add an effect is actually up here above the preview screen. So we'll click there, and let's add the time code. This will add it to everything in the project, no matter where it is in the project. So you can see, as I move this around, the time code will change. The time code will keep going on the next event, and even when there is nothing on the timeline at all, it will still be there. So when you add it to the project, it adds it everywhere, no matter what. So now I have reset the project. Let's go over and look at the code necessary to do this by the programming. So we're back to our original code where we were adding effects. The first thing we had to do is get the track that we want to deal with and get the event on the track that we want to deal with. So we're dealing with the first event on the first track. Now I have to get my list of effects from myvegas.videoFX. This time I'm going to get 4 different effects. So I've looked them up in my text file. So here is the information I pulled from the text file we created when we were reading the list of effects that are available. And so I have the vignette, the pinch punch, the Gaussian blur, and the time code. And those are the names that I am going to be using because those are the unique IDs. So the first thing I'm going to do is get a plugin node variable called this effect, and I'm going to get effects.getChild by unique ID, and the first one is going to be the vignette. And so that's the one I'm going to place on the event. So I created me an effect variable called event effect, and we got this new effect from the search that I just did. Now I've just copied these 2 lines of code 3 more times, and we do not need the plugin node in front of this effect down here because it has already been defined as a plugin node variable. And in fact, it will not let me put the plugin node there. If I try, it's going to give me an error message. Notice this has a red underline on it. It says a local variable named this effect has already been defined. So it has been defined up here. So we'll use the previous definition. It's still a plugin node. And so we're going to do effects, get child by unique ID, and we're going to get the pinch punch. Then we're going to create a track effect from this effect. We do the exact same thing we did here. Event effect equals new effect. And we're going to do the same thing here. Track effect equals new effect, only this time it's getting the pinch punch information. Once again, we're going to get this effect equals this time the Gaussian blur. Now I'm going to set the media effect equal to new effect and the Gaussian blur. Finally, we do the time code into this effect, and then we get a project effect that is a new effect for the time code. Now that we have the 4 effects chosen and found, we can go in and add them to the various places. So let's look how each one is added. To add a video effect to an event, it has to be a video event. So here we're creating our video event, v-event, and we're forcing it to become a video event from event. Now we can just go to the video event.effects.add, and we can add the event effect that we created up here to that event. Next, we need to look at a track. Once again, we have to add a video effect to a video track. So we create a video track, I just called it V-track, and we're forcing our regular track to become a video track. Then we can take vtrack.effects.add, and we add the track effect to that. The next one is a media. So we create a media variable, and I just named it media. And to get to the media, we have to look at the event on the timeline. This is the original event, not the video event. We look at the active take, and we get the media from the active take. After we have the media, we just go to media.effects.add, and we can add that media effect. Finally, let's add an effect to the project. To add it to the project, we go to myvegas.project, and we have to look at the video bus. After we have the video bus, we just go to .effects.add, and we add the project effect. So let's save this and see how it works. So if I look here at this event and click on the FX button, we will see that it does have vignette added, and we can see it on the preview screen. If I go to the track and click the FX button, we will see that pinch punch has been added to that, and if I go to the second event on the timeline, we will see that it does have it added there as well. If I right click this and go to Media FX, we will see that it does have the Gaussian blur added there. And then if I come up here and click above the preview screen, we will see that time code has been added there. If you press Ctrl-Shift-B, now you will get the video bus down here. If I click this FX button, you will see that the time code is listed there. So the video bus is basically the entire project. Most of the time we do not see it listed down here because we simply do not turn it on because it takes a lot of space, and you can do most stuff from the preview screen itself. We'll turn that back off. So as you can see, we can add the effects to all 4 places that effects can be used in Vegas, and it is a fairly easy project to get to all 4 places. So now that we know how to do that, we have much more flexibility in adding our effects to the project. Please sign up at www.JETDV.com and subscribe on YouTube to get further notifications on when new videos are presented.